Welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Hez Brown. And now your host, Hezekiah Brown.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Hez Brown. Remember, we want your feedback. Send your comments and ideas by email to WRVS-FM@gmail.com. Now, let's get to the conversation I had with my special guest. He's going to be doing double duty. And the double duty is he's going to talk about a very exciting and fascinating business that he needs you to hear about, so you can determine whether or not this is something good for you or something good for your family. And then he's going to talk a little bit about the tragedy that just happened at the correction institution here in Elizabeth City. And who is more qualified to talk about the correctional system here in Elizabeth City than Bishop Ernest Sutton. So, good evening, Bishop Sutton.
Good evening, Hez. It's a pleasure being here with you.
Yeah, today, as I said again, is a special day with a special person. And Bishop, we want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship because I know that you advocate entrepreneurship. And one of the things that we lack in Elizabeth City is minority entrepreneurship. And I know that you and I have been engaged in business together, and we have been advocating forever about encouraging African Americans to go in business because we become mostly all consumers as opposed to being the person who is selling the goods. And in our United States of America, you know, in order to move ahead and get ahead, you need to be in business. So I know you are on, and this is not a new endeavor for you. This is you've been doing for a long period of time, and I know you stopped for a period of time, but now you're back into this program. And the program is called Legal Shield. Bishop, would you explain a little bit about what Legal Shield really is and how you got involved?
Thank you so much, Hez. I thank you for what you do throughout this community to raise the level of not only entrepreneurship, but I thank you for raising the level of community involvement in our community. So I applaud you. And I want to say at the outset, I applaud you on your new book. I'm excited about that book being out because it really goes to the core of how we navigate the system and some of the tools that you have amassed over the years that you're sharing with the community in your book. So thank you so much for that. That's not only an entrepreneurial initiative, but it's also an initiative that espouses how we lead in a community. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Let me just tell you about how I got started in Legal Shield. Well, I've had my membership for over 25 years. I got my membership I was employed with the North Carolina Department of Correction, and we had an associate or agent to come out and share this service with us. And I joined, as I said, over 25 years ago. So that's how long I've had my service. But in 2005, I recognized that this service was so powerful that I was invited to join and be an associate and do the business. I joined in 2005. I did it for a number of years, and I found that the service was just outstanding. I'll give you an example of how the service has served my family and me. My son, John, and I'm sure you remember John, sure, passed away in 2012, but John graduated from North Carolina State. John did excellent in school. John was an excellent son and young man, but John had a problem. And that problem was cars and John just didn't mix. John had about 8 or 10 traffic tickets while he was at North Carolina State University. Problem was he never told us about those traffic tickets until he graduated. And when John graduated, he told my wife and me about the traffic tickets he had. And we were in a quandary because we were one that said, John, how'd you go with all those traffic tickets, son? I said, you'd have to come home if we'd had to pay for all those traffic tickets. Well, it just comes out that John knew he was on our plan for Legal Shield. So what he did was, when he got those traffic tickets, he called Legal Shield, unbeknownst to us. But John got every one of those traffic tickets handled. Our insurance never went up. John never went to court, and no points off his license. That was a powerful, powerful indicator to us how good this service is. So I got started, as I said, in 2005, doing the business, and it did us well. But sometimes life gets in the way, and you just stop doing it, and I did. But about 7 months ago, on a Sunday morning, as I've told some of the people that I talked to through the community, I just had this epiphany about the fact that, you've had this service, it served you well, it served your family well, you've made a little money with it, and you stopped doing it. And as a pastor, I received that very seriously, because this service ministers to people's needs real time. So I got busy, and I relaunched this business because of the need in the community. And I had something, and I wanted to share what had served my family and me well with the greater community. So that's how I relaunched, and that's how I got started. And I'm fired up with this business now and ready to go, because I know the kind of value that it brings to our families in our community, and I know what kind of entrepreneurial opportunity there is marketing this program.
Well, first of all, Bishop, congratulations. As I said again, you too have been out there in terms of trying to bring in things that's going to be beneficial to our community, and I want to applaud you for all that you do in that respect too. And just, tell us a little bit more. You gave us a personal experience in terms of how this applied. And I know it was a revelation to you and to your family that you didn't have to dig into your pocket and pay all of this, because it was prepaid. And this is called prepaid legal experience. How could you just elaborate on that?
This organization was started back in 1972 by a guy named Harlan Stonecipher. He was from Ada, Oklahoma, and I had the pleasure of personally meeting him and talking with him about this program. Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, Legal Shield, which is known earlier by the founder name, was bought by another company, and Legal Shield now is the branding name for it. Legal Shield now still is located in Ada, Oklahoma. The program was an outstanding program initially, but we have rebranded. A guy by the name of Jeff Bell, who is the CEO of the company now. And that name may not ring a bell to most people, but if you will Google Jeff Bell, you will find out that Jeff Bell is one of the persons that put Microsoft on the map. And he has brought to this organization an outstanding branding and marketing program that just takes what was known as prepaid legal and now Legal Shield to another dimension, and serves our community not just well, but serves them in an outstanding way. And I'm just excited about it, because my wife and I, about 4 weeks ago, went to Columbus, Ohio, where the convention was. And we had a chance to meet Jeff Bell, and we had a chance to sit with over 5,000 other associates in this business. And I will tell you that Legal Shield not only markets our product, but it is concerned about personal development and leadership of all our associates. In fact, one of my favorite authors, as you know, is John Maxwell.
Yes.
John Maxwell was there. He kept 5,000 people spellbound for about 2 hours, and they were at the edge of their seats wanting more. And I mention that because we're not just a organization that markets memberships, but we're an organization that's concerned about, one, entrepreneurship, but personal development and community involvement. And I was excited to know that John Maxwell is one of our partners in this business and a consultant with us that helps us to shape and mold our associates within the broader community and internationally, because we have organization that we serve in Canada for Providence of Canada as well.
Yeah, I note the name Legal Shield. Does that mean that it's protecting those who are involved in the program in some respect from the legal system, or protect them from high-paying lawyers, or protect them? What the name Legal Shield, how does that associate with the company itself?
As I stated, the company's name, founding name, was Prepaid Legal Services, which means, as you indicated earlier, that we prepay it monthly or yearly or however you want to pay it. And it gives you a guarantee of legal protection. And I'll just share some of the things that we do to shield us, if you will, as it relates to those matters that come up that face all of us as far as legal system is concerned. Well, first of all, Legal Shield provides advice and consultation. And without even going any further, I'm biased, but I think I'm data-drivenly biased. I think that offering alone is worth the cost of the program, because you can call Legal Shield to our provider attorney or to the provider attorney in your state. And we have a law firm, not just a lawyer, but law firms in every state in the union, including Canada. You can call Legal Shield 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and they will respond before the day is out to your concern. We will talk to you however long it takes on any legal issue that you might have and give you consultation. Now, consultation, as we well know, helps guide us from a legal standpoint, so that we will be able to understand how to navigate whatever our situation is. So that service alone is worth the money. But not only that, what we do is we review contracts. How many times do we buy some things and they throw this piece of paper out there with that fine print on us, and we've just bought that car, and we get that paper and we just sign it? Well, we don't have to do that anymore if you're a member of Legal Shield, because what we can do is, before we sign a document, we can send that document to our provider law firm, up to 15 pages. And I always say, if you got a document that's 15 pages or more, you may not just want to be dealing with that. But we review contracts and documents up to 15 pages and give you legal advice on whether you should not sign that document, or what should or should not be in that document. To me, that is a powerful, powerful benefit alone. But not only that, I told you about John's experience. If you get a non-criminal traffic ticket, speeding or whatever, we take care of that for you. Call the law firm, and we have an app on our phone that we can take a picture of that ticket. If we're in California, Texas, or Alaska, send that picture to our provider law firm, come on home, and not even worry about that. That's what happened with my son, John. That's in itself is a powerful offering. But not only that, we write letters and make phone calls on your behalf if the situation requires. And I have so many incidents where I could show you or tell you about where individuals just by having a letter written for them by an attorney changes the game as it relates to matters that our families and individuals deal with all the time.
Yes. So you Bishop, I just think that this thing is so on target with helping people who cannot run down and give a $500 or $1,000 deposit on something before the attorney will take a look at it. One of the key things that's taking place in today's world, which many of our folks are totally unaware, and that is that when you purchase a car, you purchase furniture, you purchase things now, there's a part of that contract that says that this will not be permitted to go to court. It's either going to arbitration or going to mediation. Are you saying now, because I think most people, when you buy a car, you're so excited and they tell you, push that paper and you sign it. But individuals don't know that if they have a problem, that they cannot go to court. So you're saying that if a person have papers like that before they sign, they can say, fax these or email these to Legal Shield. They will review these papers before you sign, and then that's another assistant that they give you?
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
That is incredible, Hez, and that is so valuable to individuals. Now you don't have to just sign on the dotted line without having advice about whether you should sign or not sign. Once you become a member of Legal Shield, they will review that contract and get back with you within the day and advise you on what your rights are and what that contract reads. Another thing that I'd like to add is we all can read, but there's a difference in us reading and an attorney reading a contract, because contracts are written by attorneys, so they know their language. So we need legal speech in reading those contracts so that we will be sure that we understand what we're reading. Yeah. And many times we read those contracts and we really don't understand. We look like I had a person to tell me the other day that I signed a contract, so the only thing I did was look at it and act like I knew what I was reading and signed it. And that happens all the time. We get excited when we buy a house. In the contract, we get so excited because we've got that loan for that house. We look at those papers and we don't even look up. We just sign it and let it roll on. That's but right. With Legal Shield, with a Legal Shield membership, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Okay. And my Bishop, how does this work, in terms of, say it's that you buy one contract that covers that individual, your husband and wife, or does it cover the family, or is it a family plan?
We have two plans. We have a family plan and we have an individual plan. Mm-hmm. The family plan covers you, your spouse, or significant other, and ever how many children you have. That was one of the things that impressed me about it, Hez, because my wife has a few children, and I was impressed by the fact that not only did it cover my wife and me, but it covered all of our children. Mm-hmm. And that family plan, and here's what I'm paying now. I'm paying the same thing today that I paid back over 25 years ago a month for my service. $16.95 for the family plan. It's going up a bit. Now it's a earth-shaking $19.95 for a family plan. Now the family plan and the individual plan in North Carolina is the same, $19.95. But let me take you to another dimension of this service. You all know that a few weeks ago, Equifax is under fire now because of what has gone on with Equifax. And most of our audience know about Equifax. Well, we have a service now with legal identity theft. Our identity theft plan for a family is $19.95. Our identity theft for an individual is $9.95. We have other agencies out that do identity theft, but let me tell you what we do. We partner with a company by the name of Kroll. Kroll is the best in the business. Just to give you a little information on the reputation of Kroll, Kroll is the company that does the CIA investigations. They do FBI investigations, background checks, and they were the ones that solved the Enron problem, and they're the same ones that tracked Saddam Hussein's money down. Mm-hmm. That's who service us with the identity theft. And we back that service with a $5 million guarantee that will either restore your credit or do whatever it takes to get you back online for how long it takes with a $5 million guarantee. Most other companies that do the same thing that we do only back that with $1 million, but we back it with a $5 million. I don't know whether any of you in our audience have had the experience of having your identity tampered with, but I will tell you it is a horrendous experience, and it takes an expert to get you back online if your identity has been tampered with.
Well, Bishop, this sounds like when you purchase life insurance. You purchase life insurance and hope that you never have to use it. And I would think that you were saying that you purchase this insurance. It's like an insurance that you purchase and hope you never have to use it. And I think I just think it's just a great thing that you're doing. And I just want to find more ways to get it out to the community, because certainly people of low income or whatever just don't have the money to pay to attorneys, and they require that you put money up front. So you can prepay this based on the name before that. And would you go over the cost again to what it costs for? Because I think that people don't realize that this is so important, and you hope you never have to use this. But if you do have to use it, you already paid. You don't have to go to the bank and get the money out. You already paid. You pay in advance. And prayerfully, you don't have to use it, but it's great insurance. Go over the fees again.
I'll preference my comments by sharing a story with you that I think is appropriate to share. My former pastor, Bishop F.L. Griffin, told me once when I was a much younger man than I am now. She said, son, I want to give you some advice. She said, always have a doctor. Always have AAA, and always have you an attorney. That was sage advice for me, and I think it's sage advice for anyone. Because with AAA, you don't know when your car is going to put you down someplace. And if it does, if you don't have a prepaid service like AAA, you're going to pay a lot of money. If you're in need of a physician, you're going to need to either find one, and physicians, believe it or not, are hard to find, particularly ones that knows your situation, your medical situation. And a lawyer with this service that we offer, Legal Shield, better known to some as prepaid legal services, provides you all the services that I talked to you about, plus more. A couple of the other services that we provide with your service, whether it's individual or family, is if you're audited by the IRS, we got an IRS service included in your membership that we will take over your IRS case at no cost.
And the cost is
$19.95 a month for the family plan. $19.95 for the family plan, including identity theft. And then for the identity theft for an individual, it's $9.95. And when you get this service, there's a one-time $10 application fee on the family plan or the individual plan.
So it's $19 plus $9 or just does.
It's $19.95 for the family plan.
Okay.
If you get the identity theft to include for the family, it's another $19.95.
Okay. So it's $19.95 twice. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So that will come out to $39.90 per month, and with the one-time $10 application fee, that'll be $10 for the first time. So you'll pay $49.90 for the family plan. But after the first month's payment, it goes back to $39.90.
Now, how do you pay? Do you pay it by automatic deduction, or do you pay it? Is there any plans that you pay under?
Yes, you can pay it yearly with a money order. You can pay it monthly with your debit card account or your checking account or your credit card. Okay.
Now, We have to switch over in a moment, but are you the only representative here? Is there other representatives that work with you, or under you, or around you? Is there other representatives that's here in Elizabeth City?
I have several associates that's working with me. Jackie Latson is one of our associates on our team. Of course, my wife is my major team member. I have Clifford Shaw. He works with me. I have Eddie Rodriguez that works on our team. They're working on our team. And I have Cicely Adams that works on our team. And we're still recruiting people to come on this team. There is a tremendous opportunity, again, for entrepreneurship to be an associate. And I'm going to leave my number to our radio audience and my website. You contact me, and I'll be more than glad to talk to you about the entrepreneurial opportunity that comes with this service and business.
That's the one I wanted to get to, the last question. As an entrepreneur, how does one who might want to get engaged or get involved in this, because I think it's going to just explode when people really get the information as to how important and significant it is to have this prepaid service. I think it's going to explode. And what happened now, I think that people just unaware of it. But how would, as an entrepreneur, another person wanted to join, would you give your information out as to how they would be able to contact you to become a part of it, not only to buy it, but to also become an entrepreneurship and to make money doing this?
Hez, thank you for asking that question. I want to raise a couple of points with that. You can become an associate with this business for a one-time $99. This sounds unbelievable, but I will tell you, and as you know, the kind of money that we spent in going into business, it was certainly more than $99.
Yes.
But you can spend a one-time $99 and become an associate with this company and make really astronomical money. One of the things that I'm so excited about the business opportunity is for college students or others that are in business at college. You have an opportunity to become an active member and run your own business for $99 and utilize your experience that you're getting while you're in school, if you will, to operate your own business. And most of our young people, particularly in college, they are totally familiar with technology. I'm old school. I've got to learn it, and it's hard for me. But you can operate your business essentially from your smartphone. And
would you give your contact information, please?
Yes, you can contact me at 252-333-6472. That's 252-333-6472. And you can go to our website at www.legalshield.com/hub, HUB/eSutton07. I'm going to give you that website again. That's www.legalshield.com/hub/eSutton07.
All right. Let's pause for a moment. We'll be right back with more Around the Town with Hez Brown.
You want information about your business or organization heard by thousands of people?
Yes, sir.
You do not want to spend a lot of money to make it happen? We have just what you're looking for. Become an underwriter on WRVS-FM 89.9. Our listeners will hear your message during their favorite shows. Whether you enjoy the news of Morning Edition from NPR, the conversations of Cafe Mocha Radio, or any of our programming, you make the choice. Call 252-335-3985 or find us at ecsu.edu/WRVS to get started today.
You are now listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Welcome back to Around the Town with Hez Brown. My guest today is Bishop Ernest Sutton. We just want to flip over to something else. You know, you have so many qualities and skills, and so we want to talk a little bit about what happened here in Elizabeth City, and maybe not pointing the finger, being vindictive, but actually based on your years of experience. And the reason I wanted to hear from you, because I know you spent a lot of time in prison, and when you spend a lot of time in prison, you become familiar with all the things that take place in the prison from the top to the bottom. And I know, as a matter of fact, that you started in the prison system. Let me clear this up. You did not as an inmate. You started from the prison system and work your way through this system for, somewhat 36 years in this system. And who is better qualified to talk about some of the things that's really plaguing the entire country, and that has to do with the inmates' uprising and so on. So, Bishop, can you just give us just a snapshot of and let me just back up for a moment. You know, you were the former correctional administrator at the Elizabeth City location. And how many years were you there?
I was there, Hez, from 1999, and I retired from there in 2007.
Mm-hmm. So you are well familiar with the correctional system here in Elizabeth City. Did anything happen like this while you were there? Were you ever involved in any uprising such as this?
Yes, thankfully, I was not. I was very blessed throughout my career. I was fortunate not to have a major incident like the one we experienced a few weeks ago. But I just want to say this. My heart goes out to the families, particularly who lost loved ones, and those individuals who were injured during that melee. And I just want to say to those families that lost loved ones, and to all of those officers and staff that experienced that horrendous experience, that my heart goes out and my prayers continually go out to all those. We are hired to serve and to protect our communities day in and day out. Those staff are there to provide that very needed and essential service to our community. And they're unsung heroes every day, just like our other law enforcement officers and staff in our community. They serve and protect us so that we will have a better quality of life. So I am very passionate about what all of those staff do day in and day out. And it's a very, 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 very dangerous job, but it's a service that we need in our community. And I always say it takes a special quality of person to be a correctional professional. So it's that's something that's very close to me. And I am always moved because every day that our correctional staff and our law enforcement go out, they really don't know whether they're coming back or not, but they do their jobs consistently without trepidation and without a thought about the fact that their lives are in that kind of danger day in and day out.
Yeah, Bishop, again, yes, and I know I feel your passion about what happened, and I know that that you were led when this happened to visit the institution to offer advice or offer service, or offer whatever you could do to aid and assist what was going on, knowing what the circumstances were. All 50 years and under that this happened to. And I think that not only it's a tragedy for anyone to lose their life, but I'm just saying these are young people who selected a career expecting to hopefully work through this system and retire. And obviously they didn't make it. What was when you visited to see, what was the mood of the institution and the other employees and the managerial staff that was there? How was they reacting to this tragedy?
It was a somber environment, but it was a very, very serious one, and I was impressed with the response that we got from our first responders in our community, and I believe, as I stated to one of the newspaper reporters that called me after, that I believe that the quick responses from our first responders and the initial responses of the staff that were on duty helped to preserve lives that could have been lost, more lives that could have been lost. But that mood was somber. We're a family. In law enforcement, we're family. Because we understand what we face day in and day out. But I went back as I was on my way to a meeting in Newport News, and I got a text from a friend of mine that said the prison was on fire. So the meeting I canceled, I turned around and I came back because primarily I wanted to go to, one, show my support to to the staff there, because many of those staff there are hired. I know most of the staff there. Of course, it's been 10 years since I've retired, but my heart and my passion is still there for those staff. So I wanted just to go back to show my support and just do anything I could to help be a salve, if you would, for the situation that was transpiring.
Yeah, I know again that you have worked at other institutions within the state of North Carolina, and I know that you have years and years of experience. What from your perspective and from what you experience, what really causes, if you can tell, I guess sure that's never any specific way to do this, what causes those kind of things within the prison system for the uprising such as that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, a prison has a lot of moving parts to it. It's a cosmos, if you will. It's a microcosm, if you will, of everything that goes on in any kind of community. The difference is that we have a known concentration of individuals who have violated the law and have been constitutionally placed in a prison system. So you know what you have there. There's an investigation going on now, as it would in any situation, to try to determine what are those factors, one, that could be done in the future to prevent something like this. Two, to try to find out those things that can be done better, and to find out essentially what could have been in place that could have prevented a situation like this. I was very, very positively impressed by the fact that the Secretary has called for an overview of PCI and perhaps even the state institutions by the Institution of Corrections, institution that I had the pleasure of going through some years ago out in Boulder, Colorado. But the administration will not rest, in my opinion, until we can look at some of the kinds of things that we need to look at to improve our lot and improve the protection of staff, inmates, and community. One of the things that has plagued the system is a lack of staffing. Shortage of staff. Shortage of staff naturally has an impact. There are other kinds of things, perhaps better training, more money to address those kinds of needs that the system needs to address to bring more parity to the security, the custody and security of a situation. And good communication is always a must in any institution or whoever. Good communication. So if I had a recommendation to make, I would recommend that our communication quotient increase, that we get the kind of staffing in place that we need. And usually the legislature will have to act, the governor's office and the legislature will have to act on those kinds of things. But one of the greater things, Hez, that I think is important is not only was the prison system impacted, but the community was impacted. The community has to have some repair because those individuals that work at that prison come from our community. And our community is very hurt. Our community is in a state now where there's a lot of mixed emotions. You know, there's some fears, there's some anger, there's a lot of kind of mixed emotion, and we have to do some things in our community to make sure that we rehabilitate our community as well as do the kinds of things that we need to do in the system itself to try to position ourselves so that we can prevent these kind of horrendous things from happening.
You know, Bishop, you pointed out one thing there that is so important. I think that this is a part that is missed. You know, a lot of times people feel that whatever happened at the prison, it is a prison but we know now that during the course of what took place, that schools were shut down, buses driving kids home were turned around and sent back to the school, businesses were shut down, people were frightened. Do you think that this is really in a need to do the same kind of thing we used to do years ago when we were worried about whether or not we would be attacked by another country, that there were training, that there was some a source that people could call and get information in terms of what to do? Do you think that the community should receive this kind of training so they know? Because right now, everybody start to running, but they don't know where they're running to and where they're running from, and they don't know what it is. And so what would be your thoughts on how to just communicate what is going on with the community?
It's vitally important, as it was in the situation that we had at Pasquotank, for the prison system to, as quickly as possible, get out those facts and information that the community needs to get to allay their fears. I go back again to the good communication. To allay their fears, because when something like that happens in the community is up in arms. And the quicker you can get good communication out as to what exactly is going on to the extent that is needed to the community, the better off that we are. So again, I go back to good communications, but even as much so, it's important for our community to be educated even the more on what happens in prison, how the process works. And I will tell you that our volunteers, and a lot of times that get unsung, but our volunteers, those churches and those people that go out to those prisons weekly and volunteer their service is a vital part of that critical mix that you must have to keep an institution stable.
Okay. Bishop, I want to. This is one statement that I've heard and you've heard many times, has nothing to do with this, and I just want you to address this because I hear it too much now. You know, sometime when families have what they might consider incorrigible youth, and you hear parents say, well, I'd rather see them in jail than on the streets. And I can tell you that I know from my experience that a jail is a city within a city. And I just want you to just to touch on this, because that is a terrible statement to make, that they would rather see their kids in jail than on the street, because they are just in as much danger in the institution, or more in danger than they are on the street. Would you just address that as we close out here?
Yes. There's an old adage that we say is prevention is worth, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That goes with our community, and this is a whole nother segment. But just like charity begins at home, the prevention of crime begins at home as well. It has to start with the family. It moves into our educational system. It certainly moves into our other systems within our community. All of those systems in the community, the pursuit must be that they're functioning at optimal levels. Our families, our criminal justice system, our educational systems, our ecumenical community, all of those entities play a part in us creating safe communities. And all of those things impact that microcosm that I talked about earlier that relates to who we have in our prisons and how we manage our prisons. So that is a work in progress, and we must continue to work on all of those things to help bring about a safer community as well as a safer prison system that we can send those individuals that have committed crimes against our community, not for their protection, as well as the community security. A gentleman said years ago, a guy by the name of Carl Menninger. Carl Menninger was one of the foremost penologists in the country. He's dead now, but he said, we place individuals in prisons not for punishment, but as punishment. So those individuals that we place in our correctional system and in our jails, they're not there for punishment. They got their punishment at the courts, but they're placed in prison as a part of their punishment.
Bishop, thank you so much for visiting Around Town with Hez Brown.
Thank you so much, Hez. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown, recorded and produced at WRVS-FM Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University. If you are interested in becoming an underwriter for this show, call 252-335-3985.